Welcome everyone to the first edition of Neo Reality Collective. So this is more of a short form, long form kind of news talk about pop culture and everything. Uh, I'm trying out the overlay system here. Tell me what you think of it and everything. I'm trying to go for like a news kind of thing, just trying some new stuff out on YouTube. It's like an extended version of the thoughts video. So initially, when I started on YouTube, I talked about big news and everything, but they were always short news stuff, short like talking about news that was very brief, and I really covered it a lot. But then I started getting an idea of, hey, how about we combine the short form videos into a longer package, but with multiple segments involved. But and this is talking about pop culture related stuff like comics, games, wrestling, everything else, all that sort of shebang. And okay, so this first edition is going to cover games and whatnot and everything. I don't have anything wrestling related for right now. I'll probably save that for last, but let's get right into it. First piece of news coming out of the world of fandom throughout this week. This is I'm aiming for a weekly release. Saturday filming, and then Sunday we release it, and then I would go ahead and cover all the big news I want to talk about in the week that it happened, about the stuff I want to talk about. I can't cover everything because that would take forever. This would be like a 5-hour video if I did that. And that's it, if me talking in short form. So everyone knows about. So I'm sure if everyone knows, James Tyrion the Fourth. I'm hoping I pronounced his last name finally right. It's upcoming conspiracy horror thriller. The Department of Truth is coming out around, if I'm correct, around October. So the thing that was being talked about was, the story is essentially like, what if all the conspiracy stuff that people talked about was true, and the Department of Truth is like this secretive organization where basically every conspiracy theory is alive and well, and oh man, it's set to. It's been plugged by the New York Times, Entertainment Weekly, Forbes, Hollywood Reporter, IO9, Gizmodo. It's been praised. Kieran and Gillen, Scott Snyder, Patton Oswalt, and Brian Michael Bendis, and the great Illuminati controlling all your media and the thoughts of you have when you lay at night staring up into the night sky over only for the stars to start dancing. So there's been a whole bunch of covers being made for this, a whole bunch of comic store exclusives, and the big highlight that was talked about was that stories like that this upcoming book, that the final orders that came in are the highest Image Comics has had for a launch comic book in some time, defeating Philadelphia, Firepower, Undiscovered Country, and topping 100,000 orders, which, and yeah, and Undiscovered Country already has a movie deal in place. So, and even spiked in orders. Like Charles Soule, the co-writer of Undiscovered Country, wrote that we heard today that the orders for Undiscovered Country issue number 8 actually went up from 7. That almost never ever happens. Thank you for picking up our little travelage through an altered U.S. We love the story. We want to keep telling it for you for a long time to come. So yeah, so Image is currently kind of doing a big momentum boost with this book and all the other books they're publishing. Like we all remember when it was the Image shared universe, that it wouldn't work now. Everything's all in its own separate universe. If they ever did collide, it would probably have to be very, very consensual with the creators involved in it if they want to do it. And some have deals with DC and Marvel, exclusive contracts, so they couldn't do that. But yeah. So he said so. James Tyrion the fourth said in his recent newsletter that we've gotten a lot of good buzz, and I've been taking more Hollywood calls than I ever have on any project before. People seem really particularly taken with the surprise ending to the first issue. When I asked earlier, don't spoil everything else. So yeah, there are some early spoilers that came out with it, but early readers that got hold of it, they haven't spoiled anything surprisingly, and I'm hoping that stays that way. I don't. I hope that it doesn't go bad, but it's those kind of things. I'm honestly looking forward to this book because this seems like an interesting premise, talking about all these conspiracies, crazy aficionado stuff. Uh, this this uh, Aurelian state that's going on secretly from the shadows, and I'm certainly excited for the Department of Truth. That's going to be an interesting angle they're going to go with, where every conspiracy is right. Like I'm pretty sure a lot of conspiracy people who believe in all this stuff are probably going to be interested in this because now they have something that will champion their efforts. But yeah, this has been getting a lot of attention from people, and luckily it surprisingly hasn't gotten to the crazy route. And considering that the first cover is the original cover is showing John F. Kennedy, and everyone talks about that conspiracy all the time regarding his tragic passing due to what many people believe is the Soviets, the communist nations, or the U.S. was an inside job, or Oswald Lee Harvey Oswald acted on his own. I'm not going to go into that, but yeah, that's all the stuff that's usually been talked about when it comes to or Lyndon B. Johnson. But he's dead, so there's really no mystery to solve if the person that you think is behind it is gone, so they can't face justice. So yeah, uh, I dabbed in some of these conspiracy talks from time to time, mostly because I find it very interesting. Like it has its own narrative spin. There's always this otherworldly vibe you get from it when told well. Oh, except for those conspiracy generic songs they usually like to put in, but nonetheless, um, it's kind of fascinating to see regarding this thing being adapted into a book and into a series. And the artwork, when I was seeing some of the early previews, it it kind of I'm thinking the Silent Hill comics that happened that Linkara talked about. I didn't like those, but the artwork. But like I'm willing to give this book a chance, especially if it's greatly written. I'm like, this is the same guy that wrote Detective Comics, and that was an awesome book, and I'm enjoying his Batman run. He has a lot of hands and a lot of he has a lot of fingers in the pie in the comic book world. Looking forward to see what he brings to the table on this. So let's move on to our next story. DC Comics spoilers 2021. Stephanie Brown and Cassandra Cain by Bleeding Cool. So spoiler and Cassandra Cain, they're in the DC Comics universe once again. Hurrah! And there was much rejoicing, and and then they would go ahead and have the storyline throughout the years regarding who they are, because in the Rebirth era it was revealed by Brother Eye from the pre-New 52 but an altered timeline, yeah, comic books, where he reveals to Stephanie Brown and Cassandra Cain of the New 52 Earth that, oh, you were these people, you were Batgirls at one point in time, you were people that had a place in everything, but you know, Naked Blue Guy went ahead and changed everything, but he didn't know that. And they discover this. They're shocked, especially Cassandra realizing that they did trust her with the symbol. One of the big things that came out was that after Cassandra Cain left after the death of Bruce Wayne, allegedly, he went back in time after Final Crisis. She took over the mantle. Cassandra was the Batgirl after Barbara, and during the No Man's Land storyline, Cassandra returned in Batman and Robin Eternal, and yeah. So, yeah, here's the thing. When it came to why Stephanie Brown was taken out, her continuity was being wiped out by the New 52 as Barbara Gordon became the only Batgirl, and despite many fan campaigns that happened, she was kept off the board. Indeed, DC executives believed that the character was toxic. Stephanie Brown is toxic. Maybe because you've written her badly, you killed her off in one story, she was screwed multiple times by you guys. That cannot be the reason at all. It has to be she's just toxic. Man. So right now, ever since Rebirth and ever since they came back before the Rebirth era began and after the New 52 ending, Bleeding Cool learned that there are big changes planned for 2021 for that Cassandra Cain will become Batgirl again for the first time in the new continuity. Full mask, costume, bat cape, yellow outline, bat symbol, the whole lot. And while Stephanie Brown will remain spoiler with everything on her, she will have a sort the bat symbol in her new look, so she's going to get a new outfit that has the bat symbol on her. So this is probably going to follow up with that reality timeline alteration, where it's going to reveal that they're going to take on the mantles to some extent. I would love it more if they did bring back Stephanie Brown as Batgirl. Like, I would love it if she was reintroduced that she was Batgirl for a time, and then left the mantle. Probably you could go with that, but yeah, I don't get why they can't just say, "Oh, she was Batgirl for a time." Okay. In this new reality, because when you combine Doomsday Clock and Death Metal, they should be technically altering history. So can't you just say, "Oh, Barbara, since you established Barbara was paralyzed, she got an implant on her back inside her spine that keeps her stable. So why couldn't you revise history and say, oh, well, Cassandra took on the mantle and then Stephanie Brown took on the mantle. When Cassandra, you could integrate that stupid storyline where Cassandra went evil, though with the Deathstroke angle to make it less hateful filled with that reaction it got. But yeah, you could have done that, and they could probably return the mantle, or hell, they could do what they did in the New 52 Futures End one shot by Gail Simone regarding Batgirl, where there's a league of Batgirls, Cassandra Cain, Stephanie Brown, and Lucius Fox's younger daughter, where Barbara Gordon's leading them. They could do that. They could probably fix that up. But yeah, I'm hoping that we do see them back in their Batgirls outfits, and it's going to be awesome when they start kicking ass again. Looks like they're going to get a big push, especially with Dan DiDio gone. So, points for that, DC. Let's hope things sail smoothly for you guys with regarding those, because a lot of people love them, and a lot of people don't like it when they're screwed over by the management. Okay, so another DC Comics 2021 spoilers from Bleeding Cool. Apparently, Poison Ivy is going to have a problem of sorts. So, in the aftermath of Harley Quinn Poison Ivy's miniseries, they were trying to go for a plan to get back to Poison Ivy's roots, go back to her metaphorically and literally, where they were going to have her be a villain again, but there was this conflict of interest because now fans were like, but we don't want her to be a villain. I mean, like, you can have her be a villain, but why can't Harley Quinn be a villain then? Like, we want them together. Like, a lot of fans say that, but, yeah, they like, so they want her to be, the DC management, like Dan DiDio, wanted her to be the villain character again, but other people wanted her to be the advocate for peace, for saving lives, and one of the love interests of Harley Quinn, and not the Booster Gold thing. It's led to this kind of push and pull kind of issue, and that relationship got straight washed from comics and merchandise. And I was thinking to myself, why can't she just be bisexual then? Why can't they be bisexual? Wouldn't that make more sense? And then you gotta remember that the TV series happened, and that had Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy get to be a couple. So why couldn't the comics universe do it? If people wanted them to get together, even though there was Kite Man, and everyone was kind of, I want to get together, but yeah, I don't want to hurt Kite Man. He's too awesome. He's too happy. And even the writer of the last writer of the Harley Quinn the Harley Quinn book revealed in a thing saying that he was forbidden to use her in his Harley Quinn comics, and even was told by editorial mandate, uh, was told you can't even talk about her. So they didn't want anyone to talk about her. They didn't want to bring her up. They wanted to say, oh, if we just ignore it, the whole relationship people thing loved about them will be gone. So, yeah, that wasn't clearly going to work with people. So they were pissed. They wanted Poison Ivy either mentioned at all or acknowledge that she and Harley were a thing and everything. And there was even a last minute redrawing of the ending where Poison Ivy was supposed to kiss Harley, but instead it was a kiss on the forehead. But after the events of the DC bloodbath, there was almost an immediate editorial change on the DC website, which does bring up Harley and Poison Ivy's kiss in the Rebirth era. And yeah, there's still some scars with this whole thing. Bleeding Cool was then told that understands that we may see a halfway house for 2021, a major Poison Ivy storyline outside the main Batman book. Probably her own book as well, so that might sell. But this will not be the peace-loving Poison Ivy. This is the committed, powerful activist who will kill when necessary or in anger, and she will go on to have a new name. No longer Poison Ivy, she will become Queen Ivy. And in the preview panels of the Joker War, which is coming out this month at the time of this video's production, Poison Ivy will return to her Eden that Harley Quinn talked about in issue 97 and 98, and reveals and we'll learn the truth about, Punchline burning it to the ground. So something does tell me, yeah. So here's the thing about it was said here on the site on bleedingcool.com that now the plant known as Queen Ivy, or whatever it's pronounced in the other language, is also known as Devil's Ivy because of it's almost impossible to kill. Well, and it stays green even when kept in the dark. It also has a reputation for causing severe ecological damage in some cases. It rarely flowers without artificial hormone supplements. The last known spontaneous flowering was reported in 1964 and is commonly known as a money plant in many parts of the Indian subcontinent. Yeah, so they're basically saying, oh, well, she might be this, she might be that. Also, we might expect money out of her, so she looks like she's going to get a push in the DC Comics universe. And I wanted Poison Ivy. I liked the Poison Ivy we were getting. Like, you could keep her as a villain, but I also would like people love character development of Poison Ivy, but I felt like why can't it be both? Why can't you have Harley Quinn turn to the dark side again with Poison Ivy and still be a couple doing villainous stuff? Or like that would have worked. I'm pretty sure fans would have been all right if Harley Quinn was a villain again, but due to her popularity and her tragic backstory where she was manipulated by the Joker, it's hard to really get into that motive. But yeah, it's like it's kind of a rock and a hard place. I would love it if Poison Ivy was the now newer character where she was more of an anti-hero than a straight up villain. And yeah, I don't know what she's gonna do when the Joker Warzone comes out. Like, what on earth she's gonna plan? Like, is she gonna take part in the chaos that is to come? Is she gonna reunite with Harley Quinn? Like, I'm hoping she reunites with Harley Quinn. Like, work out the issues that happen. And especially, I get the feeling the Eden event is gonna what breaks her because, well, this Eden was essentially the last remnant, so to speak, of her memories with Harley Quinn when she was when life was a little bit different before Heroes in Crisis fucked it all up. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I'm hoping that it leads to a redemptive arc for Poison Ivy again to move her back to anti-hero status, so she could be that peace advocate and loving of life too, and having Harley Quinn be basically her. You could have her like Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn on the TV series. Like, yeah, some elements would have to be altered to fit the DCU continuity, but Harley Quinn was still a villain character, but she clearly had anti-hero roots to an extent. But you could keep that stuff in, but like, yeah, you have to fit in the current continuity and everything. So let's move on to our next story from Bleeding Cool. Another DC Comics 2021 spoilers. Bane and the Joker. So, yeah, this is So yeah, remember Joker and remember Bane? He's been kind of gone since Tom King's run ended. And the last time we saw him, he broke Thomas Wayne's back or killed him or something. We never saw what happened to Thomas Wayne after that book. They haven't even talked about him. They mostly talk about Alfred's death. So, Bleeding Cool reported that 2021 will see the Joker deal with Bane, not for controlling him, not for making him one of Bane's flunkies, but something very different. The Joker blames Bane for wasting the death of Alfred on Damian Wayne rather than using it to destroy Bruce Wayne. So, the story you kept hyping, you see, this is the problem with Joker War as a concept. The story is good, in my opinion. The problem is that initially they kept advertising it as the final war between Batman and Joker. But the problem was that was supposed to be for the DC 5G initiative, which was canned. But they still, to some extent, advertised it as the final war. And the solicitations for certain books after Batman 100 indicated that Joker might die and then come back later or something, but then he's also in death metal and everything, and we don't know how to answer that. He's even on the cover for War of the Multiverse. So, yeah. Joker looks like he's gonna come back again and try and go after Bane for the whole event that killed Alfred, the thing that was supposed to kickstart 5G. Yeah. I'm not sure what the end game goal of this is, but yeah, that's reported by Bleeding Cool, and it did damage to Damian Wayne. Like, it reverted him to being a killer character, and yeah, everyone hated that. Well, I get to some extent if he wanted to kill Bane and Killshot, who, or was it KGB Beast? The two people that really hurt Damian, especially hurt the Bat family, shooting Nightwing in the head and making him become Rick Grayson for that long period of time, and Alfred, being killed by Bane. If Damian was I would get they seem to keep saying that the grief, the guilt that he feels regarding Alfred's death, especially, is what's causing this downward spiral for Damian. But I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I get from one side, but at the same side, can't Damian rise above it? But he's also a 13-year-old kid, so that's also understandable. But yeah, I just want to wait and see, because if they do make him a full-blown villain for this, I'm not gonna like it, honestly. But let's just hope things work out for that and the Bat family's back together completely. Still waiting for Carrie Kelly to be introduced to the DC canon again, if ever. So, Heroes in Crisis. Speaking of that, yeah, this is a side gig bit. In Flash issue number 761, because they renumbered it back to the original numberings after the 750 special, it goes ahead and retcons Heroes in Crisis, where Wally West is fooled by Eobard Thawne that, yeah. So Thrawn was there after the accidental killing of Wally West's powers, killing everyone, which may have been an unseen force, but somehow not Dr. Manhattan, even though that would make a ton of more sense. But, yeah, it's revealed that Eobard Thawne manipulated Wally West in his mind with a supersonic hyperonic frequency where he could tell people in their heads, and he told Wally, no one will believe this was an accident, you have to cover it up. So clearly this was DC post the Dio era, that oh, we're fixing this. We are pissed that this happened. So yeah, Wally West now is like the whole event is now Eo Barthon manipulating everything. But I'm pretty sure, 100% convinced that wasn't Dan DiDio's vision. I refuse to say Tom King's vision because Tom King had nothing to do with this. Then I have a story about mental illness. Turn it into a mystery villain story and a murder mystery. Okay, can we have Professor Zoom be the culprit? I want to do a shootout scene, even though this comic's coming out in Parkland because we're royally fucked up sometimes. But yeah, it's just insane. I'm glad they're trying to fix this, but I think the biggest way to fix it is just bring them all back. Yeah, there would probably be 2 Poison Ivies. In fact, that would actually make sense. Now that I think about it, they could do that for Poison Ivy's future character arc. Like, they could have Poison Ivy who doesn't get killed, who wasn't killed. The one that was killed could be the Poison Ivy Harley Quinn remembers, and the Poison Ivy we get now is the villain character. And we could just do that. Why can't we do that? But I'm not an editorial person. I'm not a creative person on DC Comics, so I got nothing on that. So now we get to our next piece of news. DC Generations. Remember DC Generation Zero, Gods Among Us, the planned reboot, the planned one-shot series that was supposed to start rebooting the universe? That got canned and everything as part of the 5G thing. So it was ultimately announced that it would be changed to DC Generations event returns, reimagined with the original 1939 Batman with purple gloves and everything, where it's going to be called Generations Shattered, an 8-page one-shot priced at $10. And the original event was put on hold due to the comic book distribution delays due to the COVID-19 era and the major change DC executives rank in the late winter and spring. So, yeah, the narration is saying this. A threat of cosmic proportions to DC's newest and oldest compels one of the most unusual group of heroes ever assembled to take on the most mysterious force they have ever encountered. Reads DC's description for the one-shot. Join the original Batman, Kamandi, Starfire, Green Lantern Sinestro, Booster Gold, Dr. Light, Steel, and let's see, yeah, in their quest to save the universe before time runs out. So, yeah, Batman from 1939 is coming back. This is part of that. It's involving the upcoming Detective Comics 1027, which includes a short titled Generations Fractured, written and drawn by Dan Jurgens, which appears to be the chapter that kickstarts this fracturedness going on. And now it's going to be turning into a mission with the original Batman going on a mission with the most weirdest team up. And I really love the art cover of this book. And because it's by Ivan Reyes, so he's awesome. And I love how it's different eras of characters. Booster Gold, the pre-Crisis Dr. Light female character. The Steel from Reign of Superman. Coriander Starfire from the New Teen Titans era. Kamandi from whatever era you can come up with. I honestly am looking forward to this. But again, I'm thinking DC... Holy DC, like, you haven't even finished you haven't even finished Death Metal, and you haven't even fixed Doomsday Clock, Heroes in Crisis, all the continuity flubs going on, and now it's like, no, let's add one more to the pile. I'm pretty sure that won't piss anyone off in trying to keep track of the shared universe we're doing. I'm like, it's not like people look into this also for continuity's sake, right? Right? Right. No. So yeah, yeah, this, yeah, Generation is supposed to be this. I don't know if they're going to continue with the series with more Generation books. But yeah, I'm honestly looking forward to this, if for no other reason than because of how insane they're going for it. But yeah, the cover's pretty damn awesome. I won't lie, it's pretty awesome. But yeah, Generation. Well, let's throw one more broken continuity flub into the mix. I'm pretty sure that won't break anything. So Earth One, the DC Earth One books. Yeah, I know this is very DC centric. I'm a DC fan. I love Marvel as well, but you know, I love DC for their cartoons and books, and I love Marvel for their movies and live action shows. Also because Jonathan Hickman. So, so DC's Earth One books were essentially the Ultimate Universe answer to the now defunct Ultimate Universe line. So this was going for a new retelling for everything. It's been revealed that they've released volume to this day. It's only had like several volumes of each book: Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, the recent Green Lantern Volume 3, and the Teen Titans with, I believe, 3 volumes. And one of and Bat those were one of the books was going to be revealed by so J. Michael Straczynski, who's writing Resistance right now, was going to do a story featuring not just Superman, but also going to do a Flash story. His last book was Flash, or not Flash, Superman Earth 1, Volume 3. So one was going to be drawn and written by the Aquaman Earth 1 book by Francis. I can't pronounce his last name. And Earth One the Flash Earth One was going to be written by J. Michael Straczynski, and Gary Frank and Jeff Johns' third volume said is near completion. We don't have a launch date or publication date yet, but stay tuned, Lee said, adding it would be very soon. Back in July, Jeff Johns is contradicting that because he said that Gary Frank finished drawing the complete graphic novel back in June, so they would mean it was in the coloring and lettering stages at this point, barring any revisions needed by editorial. And yeah, I don't know if there's going to be a volume 4 since Jeff Johns is not really working for DC, but it's nice to know that Earth 1 is coming back into the mix. And I get they have a different release schedule because this is a different system. This is all graphic novels and not just comic book floppies. We'll have to see where this goes, but it's going to be a fun time. I'm going to look forward to this. I'm surprised they haven't crossed over with any of the other DC Earths yet. I know they're trying to build up this universe, but with all the frequent delays they do, it's kind of getting harder, isn't it? So, we take a break from the DC Universe stuff and go to the PS5 Showcase event announced for September 16th. Sony just announced that it will host the PS5 Showcase on Wednesday, September 16th, though I'm pretty sure that date's completely wrong. Yeah, it's Wednesday, 16th. I thought it was supposed to be. Anyways. The PS5 Showcase will come around in 40 minutes. Sony has confirmed that in an official blog post. We will see feature updates on the upcoming PS5 games from a number of its worldwide studios and world-class development partners. That means we could see more from Games Radar. Some more of the Spider-Man Miles Morales, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, other titles known in existence such as Blue Point's Demon's Souls remake, Gran Turismo 7, and probably some surprises too. And it's also said that the PS5 is hopefully expected to launch this November with a digital edition. And yeah, right now that's about it. I have not kept track of PS5 stuff. I mostly stuck with the Xbox this whole time. I have a PS4 and I do play PlayStation games, but since I moved to Xbox a lot more than I did with PlayStation, I've just not been keeping track of news with it. Last time I ever got more major news regarding PlayStation stuff was during the 1UP era, which was essentially this time period where Microsoft and Sony were trying to 1UP each other at their bigger game of which one's bigger, basically. where Microsoft announced that there would be 1,000 friends, and then Sony came out and said 2,000 friends. It was like trying so hard to try and get one over the other, and I'm thinking like, can I have a good console at least? Like, first it was Microsoft's horrible ideas they had for the Xbox One. Then Sony came out and said, nah, we're not doing that. Then Sony went ahead, and then Sony did the... And then Microsoft announced 1,000 friends, Sony 2,000 friends, and Microsoft, no microphone for the Xbox. You have to buy it separately. Then Sony said, we have our microphone headset with the PlayStation 4. We're the good guys. And then Microsoft came out, oh, we're reversing course on that. It's with the console now. And so on and so forth. And it was like, it's everyone other than console fanboys trying to scream at them saying, can you please just tell us good quality stuff? That was a chaotic time. Okay, moving on to the Marvel Universe, surprisingly. So, the upcoming Dawn of X title by Hickman's Empire, X-Men Children of the Atom spinoff has been rescheduled for January. Marvel Comics has scheduled Children of the Atom #1, the next ongoing series in the Dawn of X line, for January 2021, following months of delay due to the COVID crisis. First announced in April 2020, it focuses on a new team of mutants who are specifically mentored by older X-Men counterparts, with some of the members of the team even sporting powers and costumes that resemble those of their mentors. So this is doing the DC style of Legacy. It's being written, I can't pronounce that name, Brandon Chang for art, and despite the changes in publishing schedule which would arrive despite the changes caused by the virus, and this is what he wrote. This is what he said, the writer. I've never known a world where I'm using the X-Men to be able to create characters that would become part of the canon is wild, stated back when Children of the Atom was first announced. What makes this new cast especially is that they're reflective of a lot of people who I know who look up to what the X-Men stand for and have taken it upon themselves to further those ideals. These kids are exactly like the kids who are in real life, who have posters of Storm and Wolverine in their rooms, who grew up seeing them as heroes and want to live up to that. So, no idea of the cast of characters involved has been unveiled, with the so-called mystery mutants of the Children of the Atom forming a core part of the anticipation of the upcoming series. Children of the Atom is one of the several announced X-Men titles that have not been released, alongside More X, X-Corp, and more, though is the first to be solicited and rescheduled following delays. Yeah, More X is supposed to have her own book series. I don't know what that's going to be about, but apparently it did affect the Powers of X and House of X books, because originally they were going to keep certain stuff secret and then wait later, but when they found a writer for it, apparently Hickman stated that, oh, we just threw those in there because now we got a writer for it, so we got that in production. So that's the book I'm mostly interested in to see be published. More X is mystery and what she's doing now, because she hasn't shown up since Powers of X and House of X. So, back to the DC Universe. As part of DC's shrinkage plan, it was announced that the current ongoing DC title, Batman Beyond, will be ending with December's 50th issue. And the solicitation reads, the finale of Dan Jurgens' iconic run on Batman Beyond finds Terry McGinnis accused of crimes he didn't commit, reads DC's solicitations. When one of his greatest rogues, the formidable Inqui, no idea, poses a Batman and causes havoc around Gotham City, Wonder Woman will stop by to confront Batman Beyond. Will Terry be able to convince her that he's innocent, or will he find himself the enemy of one of DC Universe's greatest heroes? The epic conclusion of the series is here. And I was thinking to myself, oh yeah, that's on its own Earth. It's not really part of the canon. And I was thinking to myself, wait, why isn't this part of the canon though? Like it's part of the DC multiverse, but I'm thinking to myself, wouldn't it make sense to eventually have Batman Beyond crossover with the main DC Earth? Like, DC's been trying to push Terry McGinnis and everything, and yeah, it has come there is no reason for the cancellation. It just says which comes after the publisher and CCO Jim Lee said that the company would be reducing DC's line of books by 20 to 25%. And it joins up with Teen Titans, Young Justice, Suicide Squad, Hawkman, John Constantine, and Hellblazer as part of these books being canceled. Though people want like Hellblazer saved. I don't know about Hawkman. I've been hearing it's been good content. Sadly, Suicide Squad's on the list. I don't know, and especially after what happened with Ted Kord, I wouldn't be surprised if there was no fanfare for Diana's return after that. So yeah, this is just one of the other lines that are probably canceled because of the DC Bloodbath shrinkage. So we'll have to see. But I'm curious to know if we'll ever see Terry McGinnis again as part of the they could bring him into the main DC line of the universe, but I don't know how though. I'll have to figure that out. So now we get back to DC again with Dark Knight's Death Metal expanding with 3 more one-shots in December, because that's what it needed. And it features these variants drawn by and colored by Gary Frank and Brad Anderson, respectively. The team is back together! And it's a connected variant with 3 books. The 3 books. The first one is going to be Dark Knight's Death Metal Secret Origin, launching on December 1st. And it is written by the team of Jeff Johns and Scott Snyder. So Jeff Johns is back after Batman 3 Jokers. So they're going to delves into the background of the Darkest Night. We're going to focus on Superboy because it's Superboy, and therefore Jeff Johns has to write him and no one else. Even though there were people that were in Superboy before Jeff Johns was even a thing. So this is what the solicitation is describing the one-shot. The DC's darkest secrets are explored while 2 Titans clash. The heroes search for a way to defeat the Darkest Night through the universe's past, while Superboy Prime faces down the demonic Batman. And Dark Knight's Death Metal, the last stories of the DC universe, launches on December 8th, and the cover features 2. One is a variant featured by Gary Frank and Brad Anderson, one of the connected variants, and the other one reunites the new Teen Titans era team of Nightwing, Donna Troy, Wonder Girl as she once was called, Cyborg, Wally West, Starfire, Raven, and Beast Boy. So the new Teen Titans team, they're back together, baby! The band! Wait. The band is back together! So, yeah, the Marv Wolfman, George Perez era, it's back together one last run, and it's gonna be hell. It's probably gonna be emotional. So this launches on December 8th, and it's gonna be an anthology series of stories, one shot by a host of artists and writers. Shows the DC Universe heroes in the lead up to the final night with the Batman Who Laughs the Darkest Night, as they reminisce and come to grips with what could become their final night in existence. The last battle against the Batman Who Laughs is at hand, the final fight for everything in the universe, and while the night is usually darkest just before the dawn, what would be the last thing you do if it weren't sure the dawn would ever arrive? Join our heroes in their waning hours as we show the jurors through what could be their final moments. Heroes that have fought for a million times before, but are keenly aware this could be their end game. These are the stolen moments detailing the last stories of the DC Universe. So this is going to probably tie in with Doomsday Clock restoring the missing 10 years. So we'll have to see on that. And finally, Death Metal The Last 52, War of the Multiverses, issue number 1, launching December 29th. So it's also a one-shot anthology story featuring a handful of writers and artists. Attempts to unite every survivor of the multiverse to take on the Batman Who Laughs, with Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman leading 3 different factions struggling to unite. What would it take to get every being left in the multiverse aside together in the ultimate final showdown? Total decimation and the complete undoing of all of existence. The Batman Who Laughs has made his final move, bringing the most of the horrifying opposition to the battleground, and now every hero and villain left alive will stand and fight together. This epic battle book details every side of the last war across the multiverse. Wonder Woman leading the heroes, Superman leading the villains. What? And Batman leading the dead. Everyone has to play their part. Everyone and everything is at stake, so join here for the last of the DCU as we know it. But it's not going to be the last as we know it because the continuity is all broken. Nah, of course. So when I heard these more one-shots were announced, I was like, oh, we're doing it again with these? And like, why don't you just expand Death Metal to like a 22-book series? Like, that would make more sense, I think. And just have it be a multiple team of writers in cahoozing. Because when you start making ties that are essential to this universe, to the book, to the main book, it becomes like, well, why wasn't it just part of the main series? So, yeah. We're going to have to see where this leads to. And once again, Gary Frank's artwork and Brad Anderson's colors are very beautiful. I love it. I'm hoping to get the variants. We'll have to see, though. And let's hope my Third Eye stock doesn't go ahead and jack up the prices because it's a very special variant edition incentivizing of the 1/100 thing or the 125 or the 1/450. So, in another epic surprising news, it was announced that Brian Michael Bendis ends his Superman run and Action Comics run in December. Solicitations for both December shipping issues call it a wrap-up and final Superman tale for Bendis, along with his artist teams on both titles, Ivan Reis and Joe Prado, for Superman, John Romita Jr., and Klaus Janson on Action Comics. It's the Man of Steel's last stand in this final Superman tale by the superstar team of Brian Michael Bendis. Reads DC solicitations for December 28th. Superman comes face to face with an alien race that he desperately wants to help before it's too late. As the cosmically powered Ray, he's known as the Samir, whatever it's named, aim their deadly power against the Man of Steel's adopted planet. Superman finds himself pushed past anything he has ever faced. Get ready to experience a powerless moment for Superman that's been years in the making. So, yeah. And then in the final Action Comics with House of Kent epilogue, with the final fate of Metropolis Underworld revealed at last, it's time for each member of House of Kent to face the unknown futures head on, including Lois, Connor, John, Kara, Jimmy, and of course Clark Kent. This standalone Superman story connects threads from Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen, Lois Lane, Superman, Justice League, Legion of Superheroes, and an unforgettable series in epic and unexpected ways. I didn't like John Romita Jr. Like, I have not... And this is kind of surprising. Yeah, he says that Bendis said that his run was not going to end so far away, but now it looked like that plan changed. If I had to guess, since this was back in June, it seems that the editorial conflicts that happened with Warner Bros. And DC probably has something to do with it. But I really don't know. But I only kept track of Superman through one issue. I only read one issue of Superman by Brian Michael Bendis, and that was the reveal of his secret identity. When I read it, I was like, you know, I get the criticism, but Superman acts in character. Everything about him screams Superman Clark Kent. Kal-El, like, his character sounds, looks, acts like you would Superman. This idealism of hope, believing the best in everybody and everything. It's just everything around Superman is Brian Michael Bendis, the guy who ignores continuity to the point of insanity. That's why he got away with so much stuff at Marvel, because even though he broke time like 100,000 times for like 10 years, he somehow got away with it because it made money. So Marvel kind of became the Brian Bendis universe, even though he had the Ultimate Universe in his control for a time with Ultimate Spider-Man. So yeah, I only read that one issue. Like, I get, and I didn't like the idea of aging up Jonathan Kent. It just was like, why? I get Danny DeVito hates these characters because he's a crybaby and has nothing bad to do with his life other than hating fictional characters and then being rude at conventions. But I don't get why he did that. Why aging him up? Why take away those what could have been great moments with him still being a kid? Who knows? So Jim Lee had come out with a statement. today, where he talked about looking. It's saying that, it says if you're looking forward to the GC5D initiative, it's not going to happen, and that some of the reports online have been wrong speculation. As Live is answers fan questions about comic books, which debated September 12th DC fandom event. Welcome to the multiverse. Lee shot down the widespread 5G rumors and instead paints a more organic and individualized approach to bolstering DC Comics line in 2021. There won't be a project called 5G or a big reboot or whatever. We really want to focus on individual titles and organically build up individual characters over the course of the next year. We had a lot of great ideas that we were floating around, and rather than dumping it all in 1 month and renumbering the line, going for that really short-term spike in sales, we just naturally gravitated to the story ideas and concepts we love, building them into the mythology, the ongoing mythology, in a very organic way. And yeah, if you're waiting for a Drive G, you're going to have to wait for a long time because it's not going to happen. But if you're waiting for big developments in the DC universe, pretty big ones in 2021 across the board, but again, it's spread out and approached organically when it makes sense within a particular title, so not everything has to tie into a big epic event all at once. So yeah, the whole 5G initiative, it's not denied that it was happening, but like I said, Dan DiDio had left, and therefore there was nothing left to fix with this, and now it's like there's no more about focusing on fixing everything that they broke, and what do you know? Honestly, DC 5G, I get what the idea was at the time, and I get the idea of it, which was to age up the characters of certain people and then start retiring them and blah, 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 which would have pissed a lot of people off, but at the end of it, it's just, oh, god damn it. But it's not happening now with Dan DiDio gone. He did confirm there was a plan at one point with that, but he never clarified what the details were. So we're gonna have to see where 5Gs and all their planned stuff are going to be. Like, one of the big reports that came out was that 5G was going to turn into a alternate universe imprint to like the Elseworld books and the DC Black Label, and showcase the DC universe had the 5G initiative went out exactly as Dan DiDio envisioned it as. So I'm pretty sure it ends with everyone dying. Another DC Comics news: Batman and Catwoman's has a new release date. The Tom King and Clayman, awesome artist, romance story with Batman and Catwoman is finally on its way. Originally set to launch this year in January, or wait, let me just double check. Let's see. Yeah, it was originally scheduled to debate this year in January, and one of the ideas was that and it involved having the characters like after the events of Batman's City of Bane storyline. It was going to feature the romance between Selina Kyle and Bruce Wayne. It's set to release on December 1st, so that's pretty awesome. Gotham City today. Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle have rekindled their long-running on-again, off-again relationship, believing all obstacles are removed from their path. They once again begin operating as a duo in their secret lives as Batman and Catwoman working together to fight crime. In Batman and Catwoman, a crime story told across 3 separate timelines, Tom King, Clayman, and Marie return to the romantic saga of Batman and Catwoman, continuing the story that began in the pages of Batman. And the series will address the multiple versions of Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle's relationship, from the first meeting to their first kiss, and in some cases even their marriage, told in the characters' 80-year of history. And DC synopsis continues. There's the past, when the Bat and Cat first fell in love. Did they meet on the street, or was it on a boat? Rooftops, ramparts, gargoyles. And over 80 years of fans have read their comics and are their only witnesses. There's the distant future, where after a very long and happy marriage, Bruce Wayne passes away. Selina Kyle decides to settle an old school route, having to worry about Batman objecting. Catwoman was serving a very cold dish: revenge. And this book is set to debate a very particular DC animated universe character, Phantasm, a former love interest of Bruce Wayne. And in the present, Bruce and Selina's union is threatened by the arrival of one of Batman's past flings, Andrea Beaumont, aka Phantasm. Her return calls into question how each character chooses to operate in their costume and personal lives, and any more by Phantasm could change the fate of Bruce and Selina's future. So this got delayed. Apparently, originally Clayman was supposed to work on a couple of issues, but Tom King was like, "No, I want him on all the books." So, yeah, and I love Clayman. I love his artwork. He's pretty damn awesome. He's a pretty damn good artist. But here's the thing: a lot of people don't really like Tom King after what happened with Heroes in Crisis. And here's what I think where his strongest story style lies. I think since I hear the praises of Strange Adventures so far going on, I hear the praises of Mr. Miracle, Vision, and let's see, what was the other series he did? And Grayson. If I had to guess, the reason why Tom King got so much critical acclaim on those books, well, Grayson had a different reasoning. I'll get to that. I think the problem with King's writing style and everything he does in his story structure, that is not meant for long, ongoing, very impactful stories. It's not meant for that. Like, Heroes in Crisis Heroes in Crisis had one of King's biggest flaws. He can't tell a story that's supposed to be a big impact on everything and everything that comes after. He can't tell that story. He can't tell a story like that. I've seen some of his works, and I'm thinking, like, he's good at this, but why can't he be good at this? And then it popped when I was reading Strange Adventures. He can't write a story set in a massive shared universe and everything must connect. His book doesn't work like that. His style doesn't seem to work like that. So it seems like his writing style is fit for more self-contained. While it could still be a shared universe, it has to be self-contained. It can't have multiple tie-ins where it has to have this and like, oh, you have to talk about this, you have to talk about this, you have to talk about this. Like nothing's going on going on with the character in Strange Adventures. Nothing's going on, and this book is an out of continuity story that follows up on his version of what would have happened if he still worked on Batman up to 100. And Mr. Miracle was a self-contained story. The Vision was a self-contained story. Any impact they would have later down the road would have been by other writers. But yeah, it was at best a self-contained story. And the reason why Grayson was so successful wasn't just because Tom King wrote it. He co-wrote the book. Tim Seeley was the guy writing the book a lot of the time, and he wrote the ongoing Nightwing series during the Rebirth era. So it's like, it seems like Tom King is more meant for, he needs someone to help him if it's going to be a long-running series, or if it has to be, and really Grayson was somewhat more self-contained because he had a spy organization thing going on in comics, and the book ideally was in concept supposed to be more about Grayson doing the spy stuff and everything as Spiral and working on that concept, but he had a co-writer. He had someone helping him out whenever he might have jumbled off a bit. But Mr. Miracle, Vision, Strange Adventures, they were all in continuity with the main stories, as far as I know, for Strange Adventures. But they were all self-contained. They didn't have an impact on the other side of like, what's going on over here, it doesn't affect over there. Heroes in Crisis had that flaw where whatever happens in here affects everywhere else. So I think that's what Tom King's running style is. He can't tell a story that's supposed to be a big impact for the entire universe. It has to be a self-contained story. If it affects the entire universe, that's going to be another writer's job, if they want to go with it or not. Like, originally Vision was supposed to be an ongoing series, but no, it was said, oh, it was supposed to be, but then Tom King or Marvel changed it to a 12 issue series, and so on, and that was probably for the best. Originally was going to have a sequel series, but then he went to DC. So, yeah, Tom King is going to end his Batman run with one last big issue, featuring the finale of his love story between Batman and Catwoman, Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle. I'm honestly looking forward to it. He's also having a Rorschach title in the works, which got a little bit of a controversy with one of the variant artists, but we'll see when that ever comes out. So, Here's something that confused me. So this shouldn't. So yeah, they announced more Tales of the Dark Multiverse stuff. I was confused when I read this. So here's the thing. When this is the solicitation. When the Anti-Monitor's deadly grudge match with the multiverse was finally foiled, there was only one Earth left, but which Earth? That was crucial to what would happen next. In one timeline, Earth 1's Superman stopped the Superman of Earth 2 from going into final battle. But in the Dark Multiverse, it's Jor-El of Earth 2 who survives, changing the landscape for all that follows. When Sator comes looking to crush all life, the beleaguered heroes jump into their next battle, jumping from one crisis to the next. But will the last days of the Justice Society of America play out differently if Green Lantern Alan Scott steps into darkness? And another one's going to be, and that one, and Crisis is coming out on December 15th. On December 1st, Tales of the from the Dark Multiverse. It's going to be Wonder Woman War of the Gods. And the realms of the gods have been turned upside down and inside out on the verge of engulfing Earth and its people. Only one hero stands to defend it, Wonder Woman. But this dark mirror image of an epic featured tale features a Wonder Woman who is ready to destroy our world. Crushed by the evil gods of magic Hecate, the Amazon warrior princess Diana has become the weapon of vengeance, ready to tear down any god or superhero that stands in her way. Will Earth and its heroes survive her might, or are they doomed to worship the Dark Princess of the Amazons for the rest of eternity? Well, this is Dark Multiverse. What the hell do you think this is going? This last one's the confusing part. Tales from the Dark Multiverse, December 29th. Dark Knight's Metal. How does that work? No, I genuinely want to know how does that work. Because what so metal, but metal is because of the Dark Multiverse, but like the Dark Multiverse can't have a copy of its own version because won't copying the copy lead to disaster? What if Barbados reign victorious and whatnot? Duke Thomas, the last monitor, will have to seek out Nightwing and a few remaining stars of the middle event to assemble the final Justice League in an attempt to save the multiverse, yada yada yada. How does this work again? Like, how does this work? Because the characters invading in Metal are from the Dark Multiverse. So did the Dark Multiverse create another versions of them and duplicated the event? Therefore, there's another Barbados running around, but no one has brought that up yet. But Barbados can't be because he's a god, and like, ah! I just had a brain crash. Anyways, yeah, so I am completely and utterly confused by this. So let's move on. So in surprising news, The Walking Dead series is coming to an end, and 2 more spin-offs will take its place. The Walking Dead is coming to an end with a season 11. It's going to be a massive one, 24 episodes, but like a walker who won't go down, the Undead franchise will return, just not as we know it. It's been said in this article by Games Radar. 2 new spin-offs have been announced, and these are all new spin-offs, not Fear the Walking Dead, the upcoming Beyond Worlds, or the Rick Grimes movies. The first will revolve around Daryl and Carol, played by Norman Reedus and Melissa McBride. Turns out they won't be riding off together in the Sunset Post Season 10, instead we'll be dealing with a more modally undeads. The spin-off has been created by Walking Dead overseer Scott Gimple, with Angelique Kang, who currently acts as showrunner of the main series, as executive producer. The Walking Dead flagship series has been my creative home for a decade, and so it's bittersweet to bring it to an end, but I won't be more excited to be working with Scott Gimple and AMC to develop a new series for Daryl and Carol. Working with Norman Reedus and Melissa McBride has been a highlight of my career. I'm thrilled that we get to keep telling their stories together. Reedus said, I feel incredibly honored to be part of The Walking Dead. The show changed my life and career, and everyone involved has truly been a family for me over the last decade. I am thankful for AMC's love and support, and know there's so much story to tell, so much more to bring to the best fans in the world. Daryl's relationship with Raquel has always been my favorite relationship on the show. Sorry, Rick. I love the way these characters interact and relate to each other on so many levels, and I can't wait to see where their ride goes from here. McBride said, of course, I've always enjoyed working so closely with Norman throughout this many seasons and playing Carol, and as a viewer of the show, I've also been long intrigued with Daryl and Carol, and by why so early on, even then, felt somewhat bound. Their shared history is a long and each own personal fight to survive even longer. The more obvious aspect of what has kept them close and loyal, but there is a rather mysterious aspect to their fondness for one another that I enjoy and their playfulness when the world permits. I'm very curious. Angela has a way of shaking things up in a great and unexpected way, and she's kind of like a kid playing with a dimmer switch. I'm very excited. And that's not the only series spin-off on its way. The other one is going to be a Tales of the Walking Dead, an episodic anthology where individual episodes or arcs on episodes focused on new or existing characters, backstories, and other standalone experiences. That, of course, means we can expect some characters who previously left the series to return, and others just like the 600 Days DLC. So, yeah. I was surprised when I heard The Walking Dead was ending. Like, I originally read an article years back that they said they never want the show to end, though that's virtually impossible. If they stay around, they'll risk over-fatiguing everyone, and then everyone will hate them. If they go out now, it's like, why are they making so many spin-offs? They have 2, and they have a series of movies with Rick Grimes. So, yeah, this is the end of the story of the Walking Dead main series, and I haven't watched the show in many years. I stopped, but I do know what happened to Rick's son. I knew what happened to Rick at the end. That's the last episode I ever saw, and yeah, I'm just not interested in these shows. I'm just never been interested back after The Walking Dead, sometime after season 7, I think. I could be wrong. I think it was after the prison stuff, after the battle with the governor and everything. So I think it was after the governor was killed off, and then afterwards I just stopped watching. But yeah, show's coming to an end. 24 episodes is the final season. We'll see where this goes. In other surprising news, the Venture Brothers are canceled. Yeah, I didn't see that coming, because I thought the show was over. It hadn't aired since 2018. It hasn't aired for 2 years, and now it's not coming back. And I was thinking to myself, wait, the show was still happening? They were still making another season? And Jackson Public, the co-creator tweeted the news, which was set in stone some time ago. Unfortunately, it's true. #Venture Bros has been canceled. We got the highly disappointing news a few months ago while we were writing what would have been the season 8, which was said to be the final season plan. We thank you for our amazing fans for 17 years and your kind and patient attention. And as always, we love you. And Ken Plum said, the Venture Brothers. Retweeted that when someone asked, shows that were unnecessarily canceled. Go. For me, Pushing Daisies, Adrian C. Jackson. And yeah, I was thinking, wait, the show ended? The show was supposed to end one last season, but then Adult Swim says this later, we also want more Venture Bros and have been working with Jackson and Doc to find another way to continue the Venture Bros story. They said the 8th season was supposed to be its last. So why not just have that be the last stuff? Why not just end it there? Why not just make the season and then just stop? Was this part of a plan to end the show before it ended on its own terms so that you can make more content? If so, that's stupid and scummy. But yeah, I thought the show ended in 2018. I didn't even know it was still ongoing. So yeah, that was the news for a lot of people, and they were pissed. They were trending on Twitter saying, "Boo! Adult Swim sucks." And it was shocking for a lot of people because it was one of their banner shows. It was the show that kickstarted on Adult Swim when it was in its early stages of years. But it's dead, so and looks like it will be reanimated into another way, even though that makes no sense. So we'll see. So our remaining several stories we're talking about: Xbox Game Pass for PC will soon become more expensive. It's raising the prices. We're retiring the introductory price on the 17th, but if you're already money, you'll pay the same rate through the next billing cycle. Look out for the notifications on the 17th to get more details. Not really know. It's at $10 a month. I have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, um, which includes Game Pass for PC, and Xbox Live Gold, so awesome. And they're even going to offer more with EA Play, so that's pretty damn awesome. But I don't know all the details about that. It's just talking about how there's going to be raising the prices on that. So we'll see where this goes. It will be revealed on the 17th, so expect something like that to be talked about later, probably, if this series does well. Next on the best of stuff, Xbox Series X launches on November 10th, priced at $499, along with the Xbox Series S, which will be $299. Set to launch on, pre-orders are set to go live on September 22nd, so I'm gonna try and see what I can do about that. And it will also launch, and then it will both launch on November 10th. The ball is now in Sony's court to see where they go with this. We'll see how it is, but yeah, I've seen what the Xbox Series S and Series X looks like. The Series X looks like it's the monolith from 2001: Space Odyssey. And the Series S is actually super tiny as seen. Phil Spencer was on a live stream or broadcast on YouTube video, and you barely could see in the background. Like, you see all this stuff in the background? Like, it would be probably buried somewhere, and you wouldn't be able to see it. But yeah, they apparently did not want to attend to share the news, but the leak happened, and then they had to prompt the announcement and whatnot. And looking forward to it. I'm hoping to get it, but we'll see where everything goes from here. Halo Infinite was going to be one of the launch titles. I'm glad they're going to bring a lot of the Xbox One games backwards compatible, so I could and enhanced for the console. Let's see if I can get my saved data on there, and therefore we can keep everything intact. So other news went on. Star Wars Squadrons, the upcoming EA game, flight space battle thing, has crossed a major development milestone. Creative director Ian Fraser said this: I am incredibly pleased to announce that after a ton of hard work from the team here at Motive Montreal, Star Wars Squadron has just gone gold audium, as is also pronounced, as he also said. So one of the things I heard was that it launches on October 2nd. The game is coming out just before the launch of the and whatnot. But Motive is not working on a new version of the game for those platforms. That said, the game will be playable on next-gen consoles through backwards compatibility. Squadron is said to be a budget price game launching at $40. The game has an original Star Wars story along with multiplayer in the form of 5-on-5 matches featuring cross-play across console and PC. Pre-orders are now available. EA and Origin Access subscribers can play the game for 10 hours at launch for free, after which they can buy the full game for 10% off. Origin Access Premier subscribers, meanwhile, will get the full Squadron game at no extra cost, and you can also pre-order on digital fronts. I don't get that. So, yeah. Like, I don't get why they call it a pre-order for a digital project. Like, I get what they're trying to say, like, you can buy it and then it will download and install and everything at midnight, but I'm thinking, why do you call it a pre-order? I don't know. So yeah, Star Wars Squadron has been this like, will it do microtransactions? Then EA said no, it will not do any microtransactions. No loot boxes, no microtransactions. Everything's earned in game. Okay, EA, you didn't do this for Fallen Order. Let's see if you'll do it for this one, or try and screw it 1 hour later. So, Apple changes the App Store rules to allow xCloud. Microsoft calls it a bad experience. Apple has made some rule changes to its App Store guidelines, which could have a big impact on Microsoft and Google plans to offer cloud gaming services. The rule changes appear more favorable to Microsoft xCloud and Google Stadia, which everyone forgot about. Microsoft has already issued a statement saying the requirements make for a bad experience for customers. The guidelines explicitly said that the gaming streaming services are allowed, however, these games will need to be downloaded from the App Store individually. Apple will allow providers to have a catalog app that manages these downloads, but each game would have its own distinct listing. That would appear to rule out cloud gaming, as both xCloud and Stadia rely on a model in which you don't download individual games at all. Instead, the games stream through the cloud, similar to watching a movie on Netflix, where Apple's allowed through its App Store, of course. This remains a bad experience for customers, a Microsoft spokesperson told GameSpot. Gamers want to jump directly into a game from their curated catalog within one app, just like they do with movies or songs, and not be forced to download over 100 apps to play individual games from the cloud. We're committed to putting the gamers at the center of everything we do, and providing a great experience is core to that mission. Allowing a catalog of games to download under one payment umbrella is more akin to Microsoft's Game Pass subscription service. Microsoft recently announced that a Game Pass subscription will soon include xCloud access, but an all-you-can-eat download subscription and subscription service are very two different functionalities. In a Twitter thread, analyst Daniel Abman pointed out that Apple has clarified that the companies can submit each individual game, including downloads, and then have them available for streaming functionality. But this could be hundreds of games, and each have to be evaluated individually. Plus, by submitting them this way, Apple would get its share of profits from any in-game purchases. Apple clarifies that it will allow cloud game services on iOS, but if each game has individually approved by Apple. Apple would still take a 30% cut on subscriptions via iOS, but subscription via PC and console will allow you access to the iOS app too. Microsoft previously ended its iOS preview for the xCloud and explained it had no plans to bring the service to Apple devices. Tragically, the company said it's committed to finding a path to bring cloud gaming to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate to the iOS platform, but Apple policies are standing in that way. This all comes as Apple is locked in a high-stakes legal battle against Fortnite developer Epic Games over whether the company can offer its own app store or direct in-app purchases. Apple has its own game subscription service, Apple Arcade, which offers all-you-can-eat access to roughly 100 mobile games, at many as timed exclusives. GameSpot has reached out to Microsoft and Apple for comment. So, the current crisis is that, that's essentially what's happening. So, Microsoft wants to do this, Apple wants to do this. Apple still wants to cut that profit, like Sony did with Spider-Man and how that chaos went. But I don't know where this is going to go. I honestly did contemplate getting an Android tablet just to play the xCloud, but then just opted not to afterwards. I might do it, might not, we'll see. Also, the Xbox All Access was introduced. This is talking about the All Access next. Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S join Xbox All Access. Here's what you need to know. So, it was announced that Series X and Series S will launch in November, but it's not going to be added to Xbox All Access. That means you pay a monthly cost over 24 months instead of an entire price up front. Both console plans will come with the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which includes the Game Pass library on Xbox One and PC, xCloud gaming streaming, and Xbox Live Gold and EA Play subscription. Xbox All Access costs $25 a month per month for 24 months for Xbox S and $35 a month for 24 months for Xbox Series X. Considering Xbox All Access includes Game Pass, you're actually saving money going this route. A $25 a month over 2 years. For Xbox Series X, you'll pay $600 in total. Normally, the console costs $299, and 2 years of subscription will cost $360. That's $59 in savings. And for the Xbox Series S, it would have been $840 in total, and you're still saving $19. Microsoft has already announced that if you're an all-access subscriber, you can upgrade to Xbox Series X after you reach 18 payments on your current contract. This gets you the Xbox Series X with a new Xbox All-Access contract after trading in your original Xbox One. They talk about the sign and whatnot. So I thought, okay, so they're basically spoiling everybody by since they've been changing their tune ever since the new manager came in. Been enjoying this run. Now Microsoft's seen us the good guys and Sony's the bad guy, censoring everything in Japan and whatnot, but Yeah, I don't really do the service thing. I just buy it outright. I know that's a little bit more costly, but at the end of the day, I just do that. Well, we'll see if I change my tune with the Series X coming out. In other news, Wonder Woman 1984, because the continuing saga of the COVID virus has completely fucked everything over, Wonder Woman 1984 has been pushed back until December. They already had plans to do a third film. It was then pushed back to August 14th, which would have been which was my birthday. Pushed back again in October 2nd, and pushed back again to December. And I'm just thinking, like, if the Snyder Cut's coming to HBO Max, just put it on there. Do what Disney Plus did. Just do the $30 a month, $30 for purchase, and then just stick to that. But yeah, I don't know what's going on with them at Warner Brothers. They could just do the HBO Access thing and then just go with that. And also, Dune 2020. The first trailer came out. Everyone's loving the song. I never watched the original Dune, but I was thinking when I heard this was that, oh, this is pretty damn awesome. I can't wait for this. But I'm not going to go to the theaters because we still have a bloody pandemic on our hands. So don't expect me to be there anytime soon. And the trailer was pretty damn good. I love the music by Hans Zimmerman rendition of a classic song from Pink Floyd. But another thing that happened finally, we're talking about wrestling. And I know the ticker says Roman Reigns heel run. Paul Heyman's helping with that apparently, according to Fightful. But remember the whole independent contractor thing, the money stuff about the third parties? Well, an update came out. So WWE's reported negotiating for third-party group deals for superstars, essentially saying we want to cut up your profits. I had written this in a public statement on Twitter. How about this? And this is pretty obvious, Vince. You do this, you do this. If the independent contractors use their WWE character names and such in these third parties, you can say it's a licensing cut. Otherwise, stop trying to cut their profits if they're not. A lot of people agree with that, and I'm thinking to myself, why not just do that? Let these guys do what they want, and if they use their independent names, then you have no involvement with this. They backpedaled on this, saying that stop using your character name on this, even though we all know that was a backpedal. It's not, a full-fledged, this is what we meant to say. No, they wanted to silence and control everyone, so Andrew Yang is still out to get them, so that's gonna be pretty awesome. If he win, now Vince needs Donald Trump to win. He's the only one protecting Vince from being investigated, and if that happens, they're really fucked. Mostly Vince. Like, Vince was practically trying to create slavery in his company. He's just paying them, and that's pretty much it. But yeah, WrestleLink reported this stuff, and also the pushback that was going on. But yeah, WWE then backpedaled and said, do not use your wrestling names for this, which hinders their promotion of them. Now they're like, can we get a piece of your money if you're on these stuff? Please, we need that extra cash. We have an addiction, even though we're pretty much worth billions. Yeah. Hell no on that. I hope the talent continue to fight back on this because I will not. I do not agree with what Vince is trying to get away with. Like, yeah, I just don't get this idea that Vince is trying to control everyone. They have a life beyond just WWE. If they want, like I said, if they're using the wrestling names, then okay, then you can get a cut of the profits because they're using your trademarks. But if they're not, stay out of their business. So, finally, the last report about Paul Heyman. role regarding Roman Reigns and everything. So, Fightful reported, and this is from SES Scoops I got. Paul Heyman was removed from his executive director on WWE Raw, which has led to the complete degradation of his quality. Heyman has since returned as an on-screen character, as an advocate for Roman Reigns. No, he's pronounced special counsel. Big difference, I think. According to a report from Fightful, however, Heyman isn't just being used as an on-screen character. Heyman is said to be heavily involved in the creative process regarding Roman Reigns and his recent heel run. This includes the segment where Heyman was revealed as his advocate, the main event at Payback, and the recent promo on SmackDown. Heyman has been involved in everything regarding Roman's return. The situation is said to be similar to helping with creative for Brock Lesnar and Goldberg. And it also mentions how Raw is falling apart without Heyman, so that's pretty bad. But yeah, a lot of stuff that Heyman has been involved with. I'm enjoying this run with heel of Roman Reigns. But like I said, Vince, you had a good thing going. You had all the cards there. Now you just try to enforce slave labor out of your workers. Like, this isn't the 1800s or the 1700s anymore. This isn't even the 1600s. This is 2020. If you try to make the, you have to, if you are so desperate to stop the wrestlers from doing third parties, treat them as actual employees, not independent contractors. But what do I know? I'm just a fan who clearly doesn't know the business world. Other than I'm using my fucking brain and my education and my common sense, that evil, toxic word that's been degraded by the human race. But, yeah, so Neo Reality Collective ends here. Wanted to end it on that big run. So, yeah, those were my collective report on Pop Culture Talk News. Sorry, I'm a little tired. This was Neo Reality Collective, Pop Culture News Talk stuff. I had a lot of fun talking about this stuff. If people like it and give me some critique on it, I'll probably make more of this. This is going to be an insane ride. I'm hoping to do it at least once a week because I want to round up all the news just to get enough content to put out. So look forward to that. This video will be uploaded on Sunday, and if it's uploaded, thanks for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, donate, stay tuned for more, and I'll see you all next time.